So you watch all of these productivity videos and all these videos on how to become a millionaire, and they got their 7 steps, their 20 steps, their 2 steps. What I'm going to do is I'm going to boil it all down to one step. The one thing, this one wall that once you tear it down will unlock everything inside of your life. The one thing that you have to do, that's it, just one. You only have to do one thing. I'm not trying to make it complicated. It's actually way simpler. I think everybody's making this way too complicated for you guys. I think, honestly, they just don't really want you to be rich. But don't worry, guys. Daddy Dev over here is going to make sure that you are going to become richer than your wildest dreams, so you don't have to worry. Just go and watch this channel, and I'll give you guys the dirty little secrets on how to actually get success, and not the stuff where everybody else is trying to fluff things up, make it overcomplicated, throw a bunch of jargon out there to make things super, super complicated so you can never become wealthy. And what it is a decision. It's a decision that you are no longer going to live the life that you are living right now, and instead you are going to do whatever it takes to go and become the person that you are destined to be. And so in order for me to really break this down for you, I need to tell you a story about my own personal life, about how I was able to make this decision and it completely transformed my life. And so to take you back, I was going to college for computer science. And when I was going to school for computer science, I wanted to make as much money as I possibly could. And that is why I picked computer science. And I think anybody that goes to school for that, they go to school for computer science because they want to make as much money as they possibly can. But what you find out is it entails how you make the most amount of money possible is that you go and work for somebody for a very long time. You will get paid maybe more than the average person, but you are locked in. You have what they call is known as golden handcuffs, where you are going to be locked in for the rest of your life. And as soon as I realized that, yeah, you get to make a ton of money and you have to go do this for the rest of your life, I actually was okay with it, because until I saw this Tai Lopez that was out there being like, oh yeah, here's me in my garage and here's how you can make a ton of money. That ad shook the world. It changed everything. And it made me realize that there is way more ways in the world to become rich without having to slave away your life for your entire life all the way up to retirement. Because what you realize is those 40 years of like your working life from the age of, let's say 18 or 22, all the way up to, let's say, retirement, 60, 65, it's a big block of time that you're just sacrificing and essentially helping build other people's dreams. And you get to get a small paycheck out of what you were actually creating in the value of the world. And after watching Tai Lopez, it completely changed my worldview. And I realized that people can make money without having to have a job and they can get rich. I realized that I had the wrong mindset. That was really ultimately my dream, is I wanted to be driving cool cars like Tai Lopez had in his garage and living this dream life. I made a decision. The decision that I made is I will do whatever it takes to live that life. Flash forward 2 years, and I went on to a place of where I was making over $40,000 a month from my businesses. The main thing that is running along this story is that once I made that decision of going all in, it got to the point where it removed all of the obstacles. It put me in a stage or a state of just being completely naked with myself, realizing what is it exactly that's going to take for me now after making this decision to go and do it. Because once I made this decision to go all in, all of the obstacles, all of the barriers, and everything that was in my way got out of the way. Or if there was something in my way, I was so ruthlessly doing whatever it took. I made the sacrifices that were needed to be made. I dropped my friends. I put in the hours that were needed to be made and figured out how to get to $40,000 a month. And now if you go and look at anybody that has had some uber success, whether it be Mr. Beast or let's say Steve Jobs or Musk or Jeff Bezos or Alex Hormozi, all these people, they got to a stage in their life where they realized they wanted it so badly, they were willing to do whatever it takes. What'll happen for most people is they'll go run into, they're like, oh yeah, I know that there's this beautiful thing that's out there. And what they'll do is they'll go up to this wall and they'll be like, oh, I can't break through this thing. There's a big wall. It's in the way. I can't really do anything about it. I don't really see anybody else like breaking through this wall or whatever. And then they give up on their dreams and then they go down this sad route of misery where they're working a lame ass job and they just sacrifice their dreams. And their dreams get killed on the day when they run into this wall and they decide the dream isn't for them. It's just all fairy tales, just as princes and princesses. That's a mouthful. Just as Disney fairy tales, that's what their dreams are. And they decide that they're like, oh, this is it. And so now in contrast, the people that are different, that do the things that get them over into this phase over here, where they have all the massive amount of wealth and the cool cars, and they're able to do all the stuff that they want in their life, and they're able to travel the world and do all the things, they realize that this wall is the ticket to the rest of their life. Now, to get through this wall or over this wall comes with pain and suffering and sacrifices and having to put yourself into a vulnerable position where you don't know everything. You have to go and relearn everything, just as when you were in school and you didn't learn everything. You have to look like a dumbass, essentially. You have to decide that you have to leave your ego behind. You have to have this immense amount of humility, and you have to decide that you are willing to do whatever it takes to go through this. Because if you go backwards, all that's back here is the same shit, but it's just longer. Instead of dealing with the pain, suffering, the sacrifices over the span of, let's say it takes you 3 years of pain and suffering that you have to go through to be able to live this life. You can either choose this, or you can choose the life of comfort, and you can suffer the pain and the suffering elongated over the span of your entire life, which is, let's say, 60 years after you get out of college and stuff like that, or out of school. So you can either choose the life of comfort for 60 years and have all this pain and suffering and actually just be like a bigger loser, or you can decide to do this over the span of 3 years and be somebody that's living their dream life or doing whatever the hell they want, unrestricted. Money is not an object for the rest of their lives. And so this decision right here is this 20-foot wall. Either you can decide to go through this thing or to go back to comfort. And if you choose to go back to comfort, that's okay. It's just you're going to feel this pain, the consequences for 60 years. Otherwise, you can feel the consequences of 3 years of digging through the wall and have all of the riches in the world and decide and be able to go travel and do whatever cool shit that you really want. So now what exactly is the wall, and what are the things that we need to do to go through it, to tear it down, to get ultimately to this dream life that we have? Here's the thing, is there are actually some sneaky little shortcuts to getting through this wall faster. And there are also things that can make it take longer. And also you can use power tools, or you just use a freaking plastic spoon. If you're sitting here in front of the wall and you're over here, you're like, okay, yeah, I made the decision. What exactly is the wall, and how do we go through it and tear it down? So you want to view the wall as just the journey of developing these skill sets and becoming essentially the person that is needed to be in order to seriously become the successful person. A lot of making money is really just leverage. So as Archimedes says, with a big enough lever, I can move the world. And so essentially what you were trying to do in this whole process of crossing the wall is building enough leverage in order for you to seriously have some immense amount of success. As Naval Ravikant talks about, forms of leverage. So there's either people leverage, there is capital leverage, or there is land leverage. Okay. And so you have people, capital, and land. And then now in the modern world, there is software. So with these different forms of leverage, you are able to make a ton of money without you having to put in necessarily as much work. The wall really is putting yourself into a world of leverage. Some of the other things that are able to create leverage for you, there's like these things that are able to create external leverage, and then things that are able to create internal leverage is something called skill sets. And so as a beginner, when you're building your first assets and things that make you a ton of money without you necessarily having to work the godly amount of hours that it takes for when you're getting started, or if you're a worker for the rest of your life, you got to develop skill sets. Some examples of these skill sets that are going to be able to help you make a ton of money are things like marketing. And marketing boils down to a few different things as well. There's copywriting, there's media buying, there's video. And inside of the skill set of learning marketing, there's all these. If you get really good at marketing and you just find somebody that has a product, the marketing skill set is going to allow you to really be able to scale your time. Because now what will happen is once you create a good piece of, let's say, marketing materials, now you're able to use that marketing material as a piece of media, something that is able to create leverage. And that thing is able to do all of the marketing for you. Let's say that you run a Facebook ad. When you put up a Facebook advertisement, that thing is running for you 24/7. It is running for you day and night, getting you in front of customers. It is getting you in the face of front of other people. Now that you've used leverage this skill set of marketing, now you're able to put it out there in the world, and it's able to run for you on autopilot. Me making this YouTube video, once I make this thing and I record it and I put it up live, it's going to work for me day and night. And as it's getting views, I don't have to keep talking about this over and over again. Me making this video is a form of leverage. So some other skill sets that can help you develop towards leverage is sales, communication ability, being able to talk with people. In reality, all that sales is helping somebody understand the need for a product and why this product is going to help change people's lives or add to people's lives or remove problems. Sales is just communication. And right now, I'm just selling you guys on the concept of the wall and the one thing and the one decision. And so sales is another skill set that is able to help you create leverage, make way more money for your time. Now, something that isn't building leverage as a skill set would be something like working at McDonald's and hitting the buttons for the burger when someone asks for a burger. Obviously, that's a skill set that isn't really necessarily like creating leverage. A robot could easily replace that, and that is why you're going to get paid $10 an hour for it. And so what you need to decide is this wall of pain and suffering is sitting right in front of you. You need to tear down this wall in order to get over to this dream life that you have in front of you. And all it really takes is for you to decide you are tired of this wall being right here in front of you and that you are doing whatever it takes to go and figure it out. This life where you have to ask yourself how much groceries cost or how much milk costs. You have to look at the prices for things. You have to look at the price of gasoline and be frustrated about the price of gasoline. You look at social media and you feel like a piece of shit because everybody's living out this dream life and you're just still living in your parents' basement. It is a decision to decide that you want that stuff no more, that you are willing to go and tear down this wall and go through it no matter what it takes with a spoon or a jackhammer. So let me tell you now, what are the things that will help you accelerate in the learning of the skill sets and really developing leverage? And what this boils down to is just a few main concepts. So the first one is mentorship. Mentorship is something that I invested in heavily, and I have put a lot of money, over a few $100,000 into hiring coaches and people that have been where I want to be and are going where I want to be, or have already been where I want to be. And I get to learn the lessons from them, and I get to save the time and the headaches from these people that have already gone to where I want to go. And so what I'm always looking for is mentors that have already broken down this wall, that have already gotten over to this dream life. And I'm just essentially asking them how to do it. Maybe it turns out there's some like hard spots in the wall that you're cutting down, and they're like, oh yeah, you got to use this other tool that when you're in that phase, when you're in that spot of the wall. Instead of using the jackhammer, you got to use some dynamite and throw some TNT in there, and it'll break down the wall a bit more. And so on top of mentors, another big one that's been helpful for me is having a network. And so something that I do very frequently is I am constantly reaching out to people, asking for people, like meeting with different people that can potentially be a mentor or that are on a similar journey as me. Maybe they're trying to tear down a wall as well, and making friends with them. Because I think one thing that helps more than anything is making progress alongside other people. And so if you see 20 other people tearing down a wall and you're not and you're just like, oh, everyone else is doing this, then it becomes very natural and very normal for you to go and try to tear down this wall. And so when you're looking to go after the wall, try to see if you can find other people that are on the same mission. It might be difficult at first because you feel like you're such an isolated world. But essentially, as soon as you start trying to tear down this wall, then you start to see the features and the things that other people, or the traits that other people tearing down a wall have. And you can be like, oh, okay, if I'm like this, then that means other people that are like me are probably tearing down a wall as well. And they're trying to go over to chase out to this dream life. And slowly, as you start getting deeper and deeper into the wall, you start to be able to recognize who are other people that are on a similar mission to you and has gone through some of the pain that you have, or maybe they're further ahead. Because maybe when I go back to the mentorship thing, you can start to recognize who's a piece of shit and who isn't. And sometimes you just have to take a chance and just try to work with people and hire some mentors or pay for coaching and buy courses and stuff like that. And you'll probably buy some shit ones that just really suck. But eventually you'll find out how to find who's like actually gone down and broken down the wall and is actually living this dream life that didn't do it in some weird way or did it in the way that they're actually teaching you. And so what you want to do is you'll probably just go through and find a few people that are actually just not who they say they are. And then eventually you'll find these people that you're like, oh, wow, okay, yeah, this person's actually legit. So the mentorship, network, and really just finding people that have already been there and done that and just studying success. I would say when it comes to mentorship, like here, we'll put down a little S for studying success. When it comes to mentorship, you don't have to always like hire a coach. Ty Lopez talks about I have over 400 mentors in my life. And the mentors in his life are the books that he keeps reading time and time again. And it's just reading classic books that are going to help you, that are talking about the journey and how to get over onto the other side of the wall. Like books like How to Win Friends and Influence People, or the book Persuasion or Influence, or Psycho-Cybernetics. And reading some of these different books that are just classics for time and time again, people have read that it became successful. And if you read these success books and make them your friends, you can become one of these people, and it makes tearing down the wall a lot sooner. Something else that I've also really found is watching like documentaries or finding people that have like already been successful. So like I'll watch like Steve Jobs documentary, or I'll watch like the Michael Jordan documentary that was out there. I'll watch people that are very successful and watch those things over and over again. And I'll listen to podcasts of people that have been pretty successful and have already broken down this wall and have already gone and living the dream life that I want. And so the key thing is ultimately is making sure that you're not listening to people, or that you are listening to people that have been where you want to be. Don't listen to people that haven't gone through the journey. As soon as you start trying to listen to people that haven't gone through the journey, you're going to be in a place where you're listening to people that are like, oh yeah, don't climb the wall or whatever. It sucks. It's hard. It's not worth the journey and stuff, while they're over here 300 pounds and can't afford to buy their groceries and they're miserable. So you want to listen to people that have already gone to the point of living their dream life. You do not listen to people that haven't gone and done this. Because the people that have gone and done the dream life, they're going to tell you way different advice, the people that have already gotten over here, than the people that are actually over here miserable and they're actually living the 60 years of comfort like we discussed earlier. The sooner that you get over here is the sooner that you make the decision that you're willing to do whatever it takes and put in the time and the work. It's going to take longer than you think it will. I'll just tell you that. I'm not going to fluff it up for you guys. It's going to take way longer than you probably set your mind to originally. But if you decide that you're willing to do whatever it takes, you will get there faster. And as much of a guarantee of life that can provide to you, nothing's a guarantee in this life. But if you decide that you're going to show up to the gym if you want to get ripped, and you decide to go to the gym every single day for the next 3 years, and you work your ass off for the next 3 years, you work on your diet alongside with that, there is no way that you are not jacked and have the body that every man would love to have and that girls swoon like crazy over if you just show up every single day. Now, the same thing applies to your bank account and your dreams. If you just show up every single day and you put it all on the table and you work your ass off to try to figure it out, there is no way that you won't be where you want to be. You just have to decide that you're willing to do whatever it takes, no matter how long that it takes to climb over this wall, and you're not listening to these dumbass people that are over here that have never gone through the adventure. You will get to your dream, and you will get there faster, and you will tear down this wall.